Good afternoon. I'm a little late today. I had some family business to attend to. But what we're going to do is start on, we're going to, excuse me, we're going to graph. So we're starting on page 14. We'll see how far we get. Excuse me. Okay, here's some things I know, and I'll remind this. I think I already reminded it, but packet pickup drop off is tomorrow from 8 to 12, and then Wednesday from 8 to 12. Okay, so let's share the screen and get started. Okay, why did the plum divorce the grape? Excuse me. This is something you've learned before, but possibly have forgotten, so I'll take it slow. Let's make sure we can see the whole problem. What we have to do is graph the inequality under each grid, answer true or false statements describing the location of solutions. Circle the number, letter pair next to each true statement, and for these, write the letter in the matching number box at the bottom of the page. Okay, first of all, you have, excuse me, you have to remember about missing numbers. This one has a missing number. Of course, the denominator is a 1. You graph as normal. The only thing you have to realize is this tells you extra information. This tells you if you are graphing a solid or a dotted line, and it also tells you whether you are shading above or below that dotted or solid line. So what I'm going to do is put some information. First of all, I'm going to let this speak. Again, it says greater than or equal to. So equal to means a dotted, a solid line. Not too good of a D there. I'll get better as I write more. And also, greater than means you shade up. I'm going to put an arrow for up. Okay, so those are the two things I have to remember when I'm graphing. So I'm going to start at +1. That means go to the origin and go up 1 and put a dot. Then I'm going to use the slope. This is a rise up to a run of 3. So I'm going to rise to 1, 2, and the run is always to the right as long as it's positive. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now if I use the opposite symbols to go backward, I'm going to go down 2, -2, and then to the left 3, -3. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And I think that's all I can do. And I'm going to use my line tool. I'm going to use a solid line. See, I have I can do dotted or solid. So I'm going to do solid. Okay, solid line. And now I have to shade. So let me get a highlighter. Okay, greater than means I shade above. So I'm going to get as close to this line as possible. Do you see that I am shading in the 3rd quadrant? I'm shading in the 2nd quadrant. And I'm also shading in the 1st quadrant. Okay, so let me write that in. This is the 1st quadrant, 2nd, and 3rd. And I'm going to, here's the part that's in the 3rd quadrant. I could just put this whole part as 3rd quadrant, but I want you to recognize the part that's the solutions that are in the 3rd quadrant. Okay, so I'm going to mark out and circle these according to true or false. Okay, 19A includes the boundary. Yes, because it's solid. So as long as that is solid, I am going to include the boundary. Are there solutions in quadrant 1? Yes, 2 and 3. So I'm going to circle those. Okay, and I'm going to look at quadrant 4. There are no solutions. So I'm going to put an X here. So these 4 are true. This one is not. Okay, so let me erase that and put no solutions. And that's for quadrant 4. Okay, I'm going to leave it to you to do the puzzle at the bottom because it just takes extra time and it's really hard to do it with the mouse. Okay, but in space 19, you put an A. In space 2, you put that letter. In space 26, and so forth. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. Let me change colors. So I'm going to go from the origin down 3. 1, 2, 3, and put a dot. And then I'm going to rise to run 1. 1, 2, rise to run 1. going backwards, I would go down 2, backwards 1, 2 negative directions. So let's continue from here, up 2, over 1, up 2, over 1, up 2, over 1. Okay, now, this is not underlined, so I'm going to put it's dashed. And because it is greater than, I'm going to shade up or above. Okay, so here I go, dash line. I have a dash line, so that's what I'm going to use. Okay, let me see if I can make it a little better dashed. I don't know, that might be the best. Okay, and then I'm going to shade up. So let me get a highlighter again. And now while I'm shading up, I'm also going to mention the quadrants that we're shading in. Okay, so first of all, here's the first quadrant. There are definite answers in the first quadrant. The second quadrant, the third quadrant. And do you see this tiny little space in the fourth quadrant? It's tiny, but it's still there. So, okay, so 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to make it kind of small, but there are answers there. There are solutions there. So what do we circle? Does it include the boundary line? No. So I'm going to mark that out because it is dashed. Okay, but as you can see, all the other quadrants have solutions. So I'm going to circle them all. Okay, so I'm going to leave that again. In space 28, you put an S. In space 10, you put that letter, and it's kind of hard to read. They're kind of fuzzy for me. So let's go on. Okay, this one. Let me get a different color, green. So all my numbers are there. I'm just going to have to decide, do I go down 1? Or do I, in other words, do I put the negative on the top or the bottom? It doesn't matter, but that's not 2 negatives, it's just 1. Okay, so I'm going to go down 1 and put a dot. And then I'm going to choose, I'm going to say -1 over 4. That's what I'm going to use. And then if I go backwards, I have to do the opposite. Okay, so let me go ahead and put an equal sign, and I'm going to put a 1 over -4. Okay, I can do either of those. So if I go down 1 and over 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, here's my next dot. Okay, what if I go up 1 and backwards 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I ended up actually using both. Okay, what does the symbol say? I'm going to use a solid line because it's underlined. So I'm going to say solid. And then it is reading less than, so I'm going to shade down. Okay, so let's do that. Let me get a solid line. All the way across. Let me adjust that a little bit. Now, a little bit better. And then I'm going to shade down. Okay, now, do you see that there is a very, very, very tiny piece of quadrant 2 right there? Okay, so I'm going to do that, but it's a very, very tiny piece. So I'm going to say that quadrant 2 does have some solutions. Quadrant 3, yes. Quadrant 4. And none in quadrant 1. So let me write on here. A few solutions in, hang on, that's not going to work. In Q2. Okay, and those are right there in that very tiny space. So let's circle our answers. Is the boundary line included? Yes, because it is solid. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start putting a T and an F because I can't even read over what I'm writing. Are there any solutions in quadrant 1? I'm going to say false. I will mark that one out. Are there any solutions in quadrant 2? I'm going to say yes, that is true. Are there solutions in quadrant 3? Yes. And 4. So true, true. Okay. The only one false is quadrant 1. No solutions there. Okay, so let's go on. Let's slide down. Okay, next one. I see 2 missing numbers. Let me get a different color. Okay, 1 over 1, missing numbers. So when I go to graph, I'm going to go down to below the origin, 1, 2. And then I'm going to go positive 1, up 1 over 1. And I'm just going to follow the pattern. And the backward pattern is to go down 1, backwards 1. Okay, what kind of line do I need? It is not underlined, so I'm going to put dash or dotted. And where do I shade? It's less than, so I'm going to shade down. So let's get a line tool, dash line tool. Okay, there I go. And I need to highlight. Okay, down. Okay, so I see parts in quadrant 1. I see none in quadrant 2. Here's quadrant 3. And then more in quadrant 4. Okay, so let's put T and F on these. The boundary line is not included, so I'm going to mark that out. False. That is a false statement. Are there solutions in quadrant 1? I'm going to say yes. So I'm going to put true here. Are there solutions in quadrant 2? I'm going to say no. So mark that one out. Are there solutions in quadrant 3? Yes. And there are solutions in quadrant 4. Okay, so true here and true here. Okay, so let's keep going. I do not see any missing numbers, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to go above the origin and at 1, y equals 1, and put a dot. Then I can either go down 4 over 3, I'm having trouble reading that, or I can go up 4 backwards 3. Either way. So I'm going to go down 4 over 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And I don't have room to go anymore, but so I'm going to go up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, backwards 3. Okay, I've decided what kind of line. This has no underline on it, so I'm going to say dashed. Where am I going to put that? Dash. Let me see if I can squeeze it here. And greater than means I'm going to shade up. Put that a little thicker so y'all can see it. Okay, so let me get a line tool. And we have a dash line again. Extend it all the way across, cutting it in half. And the highlighter. Okay, and we're going to shade up. So I do see solutions in quadrant 2. I see solutions in quadrant 1. And I see solutions in quadrant 4. Okay, let me just fill this in right here. Okay, so that's what I see. Okay, so 1, 2, none in 3, and then 4. Okay, so let's mark true and false. Is the boundary line included? No, that is a false statement. Are there solutions in quadrant 1? Yes. 1 and 2, but not 3. So I'm going to mark out 3, and the rest are true. Okay. Okay, last one. 2 missing numbers I see. There should be negative 1 over 1 here. Kind of hard to put that in there. But anyway, but I'm going to go above the origin at 3. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to drop 1, run 1, drop 1, run 1, excuse me. I'm going to continue that pattern. And you notice the slope is negative. It's going down left to right, backwards. Okay, if I look at the symbol, less than or equal to means I need a solid line. And less than means I'm going to shade down. So let me get a highlighter. Okay, if we're shading down, I see these some solutions in quadrant 2. I see quadrant 3 is, all those are solutions. Quadrant 4. And I see a few in quadrant 1. So all 4 quadrants have some solutions in them. Okay, so quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, oh, I didn't write the line. The line is solid, so let me get a solid line. Okay, and now let's check off where all of the solutions are. Is the boundary included in the solutions? Yes, so that is true. Are there solutions in quadrant 1? In fact, all 4 quadrants. So all of these are true. Okay, none of them are false. Okay, give you a couple seconds to write that down. Then we're going to go to the next page. We're going to get in as much as we can. Okay, I am going to page 17 in your packet. So that's what I'm working on. So here we go. Okay, 17, solve each system below using elimination or substitution. So I'm gonna, oh, by the way, I said I'll remind that this should be a negative. Otherwise it doesn't work out to any of these answers. So make sure you put your negative in there. So I'm gonna look at this and I'm gonna be reminded that if you're gonna use substitution, you need x equals or y equals. If you're going to use elimination, you need them both to be ax plus by equals c, and then you need that again. This is how you need both of them to look. Here you only need one of them to be x equals or y equals plus by. So I'm going to look at this. I see ax plus by equals c, ax plus by equals c. So I'm going to choose to use elimination here. Now, if you're going to substitute, then you'll want to move that 2y, so you'll have x equals negative 2y minus 4. Then you can use substitution, but I'm going to use elimination. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I'm going to look at 1 and 3, and what I'm going to do is change one of them to be negative, the other one I want to be positive, and I want both of them to be 3. So if I put parentheses here, I'm going to ask myself, what do I need to multiply for this one to be 3? Well, 3 times 1 is 3, so I'm going to put a 3 here. Okay, now what do I have to multiply here for this one to be negative? So I'm going to say negative 1. Remember, my goal is to have 3 and negative 3x. And that makes 0. I can eliminate. So that is my goal. I remember before that we had goals. Okay, so 3, now I'm going to distribute 3 times x, 3 times 2y, and 3 times negative 4. So I am distributing. And multiplying by negative 1 isn't going to change the number, but it is going to change the sign. So now I have 3x plus 6y equals negative 12. Okay, now again, multiplying by negative only changes the sign. So now I have negative 3x, negative 1 times negative 4 is positive 4y, and then negative 12 times negative 1 is positive 12. Okay, then I draw that line, and again, The reason I chose 3 and -1 is to make these eliminate, and they do. The rest I add down according to their signs. 6y plus 4y is 10y. And -12 and a +12 make 0. And if I divide by 10, I add y is 0. Okay, now I'm going to go look at it. Do y'all see this 0 right here? And there might be another one. Nope. Yes, here's one, -1, 0. So I have it narrowed down to 2 answers. So that means I have to solve for x in order to find my final answer. Now, I usually write the word top or circled. I'm going to write top. So I'm going to use this one, and I'm going to put y in for 0. So I write x. Oh, I'm sorry, top. Okay, x plus 2. And I found that y was 0 equals -4. Okay, x plus 0 is -4. This goes to 0. So I just have x equals -4. So here's an answer, here's an answer. So my final answer is -4, 0. So here we go. So this was number 1. So we don't need that one anymore. Let's slide on down. Okay, first of all, I have to decide I'm going to use elimination or I'm going to use substitution. Well, I have y equals here and y equals here, so I'm going to use substitution. Let me change color. Okay, substitution. Okay, so I circled this. This is my circled. And I'm going to put it in y spot because now y isn't y anymore. It's -2x plus 1. So then I put this green circle part in for y. So I'm going to write -2x plus 1 equals x minus 5. Okay, I don't want that to look like a y. So now I'm going to look at it and say, I have variables on both sides. I am going to move the smallest variable. So I ask myself, what is smaller, -2 or 1? Well, -2 is smaller. So if I move it by addition, I add 2x to both sides. Okay, this subtracts away, and I have 1 equals 1x plus 2x is 3x. Just bring down this because nothing happened to it. Now look at my answer and say, this is the answer. It's a 1. It's a number. Over here, which is like the answer, and that is -5. So I'm going to add 5. And I get 6. And when I divide by 3, x equals 2. Okay, so x is 2. I think I'm going to have to end up moving this down. Well, let's leave it there and see what happens. Okay, x is 2, so what am I looking for? Okay, here's a possibility, and that's the only possibility. So I kind of already know the next answer. But because you want points, you want to solve for it. So let's leave it here. Now, what I'm going to do is write circled. And we found that x is 2. So I'm going to say y equals -2, parentheses 2, plus 1. Multiply first. You do not add first. You multiply first. I have -4 plus 1. And if I add those opposites, I get -3. So my answer is, my answer is 2, -3. And I should have put a box around this one. 2 -3 is number 2. There you go. Okay, so that's that one. So let's see if we can do this one. Okay, let's look at it and say, what am I going to use, elimination or substitution? Well, here I have ax plus by equals c, but here I have y equals. So since we tend to like substitution better, that's what I'm going to use. Okay, so this is going to go in y's place, so I'm going to put an arrow toward the y because that is where these three characters are going. So we're going to trade one character for 3. So let's get started. 4x plus 3, and y is x plus 2 equals negative 1, 5. Okay, now let me say something. I put a parentheses here because 3 is not just multiplied by x, but it's multiplied by everything that y is. So it's multiplied by the 3 and the 2. So I'm fixing to distribute both of those. 4x plus 3 times x is 3x, and 3 times 2 is 6. And that all equals negative 15. So now I'm going to look and think, what should I do now? I have 3 terms over here. I should have just 2. So I'm going to underline and collect like terms. 4 plus 3 is 7x. And then I have the answer here. What looks like the answer, this number. So I'm going to minus 6. Okay, they have the same sign, so I add them. So that's negative 21. And I have 7x over here, which is fine for me because 7 goes into 21 perfectly. So if I divide by 7, x equals negative 3. Okay, here's one with negative 3. And there's one, so I have 2 possibilities. Here's one, and here's one for sure. So now we have to use, I'm going to use circled again. And I'm going to put negative 3 in x's place. So y equals negative 3 plus 2. Opposite sign subtract, sign the larger. So y is negative 1. So my final answer is x is negative 3 and y is negative 1. And I see it right here. So number 3. Okay. Keep going. Okay, so look at number 4. Let me make a decision. Am I going to use substitution or addition or elimination? And I see y equals, so I'm going to use this for substitution. A little bit shorter than normal, isn't it? Okay, so where does y go? In y's spot. So I'm going to rewrite this. Instead of y, I'm going to put 2x. X plus 2x. Oops, I know I don't like that touching. So let me just start over and do a better job. X plus 2x equals 3. Okay, so on this side, none of these are numbers, so you can't add or subtract it to 3, but they are alike, so I'm going to combine like terms and I get 3x. Divide by 3, and x equals 1. Okay, so I'm going to go look at my answers real quick. Do I see any with x equals 1? Yes, here's 1. So, and that looks like to be the only one. So that should be the answer. 1 comma 2. So let's keep going to prove. So what I'm going to do next is put circled. Because that's what I'm going to substitute back in. X is 1. So y equals 2 times 1. So y equals 2. So I have 1 comma 2. And that is number 4. 1 comma 2. Okay. Okay, let's go to 5. Move that over just a little. And I'm going to look at to see what they look like, and I'm going to make a decision for elimination or substitution. Okay, I see ax plus by equals c, ax plus by equals c. So I'm going to eliminate. Oh, and I have not been putting what I've been doing, huh? I have been substituting. This one I'm going to eliminate. Okay, so I need a goal. My goal is to have 3 and -3. That's going to be my goal because I see the 3 here. So I'm going to put parentheses around this, and I want to make this 3. So I need 3x, and this one I want -3x. So I'm going to put -1, very similar to what we did before. Kind of hard to believe that they put problems so close to each other. Anyway, so this one I'm going to have 3x, and this one I'm going to have -3x. That's perfect because it adds to 0. So let's distribute. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times y is 3y. And anything times 0 is 0. Okay, next one. -1 times 3x is -3x, which is going to eliminate. -1 times y is -y. And -4 times -1 is +4. Okay, so now add down, that eliminates. 3 minus 1 is 2y. Equals 0 plus 4 is 4, and that is just perfect because 2 goes into 4 2 times. Y equals 2. Okay, let me jump up and see. I always like to see if my answers are even partially correct. So we're looking for something that says y equals 2. Okay, here's one. And I think that's the only one. Yep. So my x answer is going to be -2. Okay, now we don't have a circled problem, so I'm going to use the top problem. And in this case, y is 2. So I'm going to say x plus 2 equals 0. Okay, 0 and 2 are alike, so I'm going to subtract 2. And x equals -2. I could have just thought this out and guessed it because for 2 to make 0, you have to add its opposite, which is -2. So far, my answer is -2. Remember, we want to put the x value first and the y value second. Okay, negative, let me look that less like a 7, more like a parenthesis. Okay, so -2 is 5. Okay, so number 5. Okay. Okay, we may stop because I think this is getting a little long. I tell you what, I will finish this up tomorrow. It's, let's see, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And then we have a little bit more. I think this will be a perfect place to stop. And it will give you a time to maybe go ahead if you want to and do some on your own. So I'm going to stop. Well, let me give you a few, well, you can go back. Okay, stop share. And I'm going to end this meeting. I will see you tomorrow.